There's something weird about the relationship between Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole. And the weirdest part is, almost nobody talks about it. Because for over a decade now, J. Cole has publicly shown admiration towards Kendrick over and over and over again. Shouts outs, praise, acknowledgement, respect.
I feel weird and they gonna make headlines out of this. Just like when I see Kendrick get the moment he had, the pop out, the stadium, the Super Bowl,
the Grammys.
I'm like, I'm just as proud of this nigga as I was when I knew him back then. You know what I mean? Of like, oh nigga, like, wow. But I see blood, and I was conflicted because one, I know my heart, you know what I mean, and like, I know how I feel about my peers, these two niggas that I just been blessed to even stand beside in this game, let alone chase their greatness, right? So.
But if you really go back and look at Kendrick's side of the relationship, something starts feeling strangely cold. Not openly hostile, not obvious, just distant. And the deeper you look into it, the more it starts feeling like Kendrick never truly viewed Cole the way Cole viewed him.
Shaking up in a long time. You know, when I went in and did the verse, I thought I was just having fun. and you know, these cats I know, and I'm, you know, calling out there, we having fun.
Right. These are my comrades.
Yeah, so, but I see how the world took it and flipped the media.
You would at with a lot of the cats now, like the J. Coles of the world or Drakes of the world. Where are you guys at now?
Personally, I respect these dudes as, you know, as people, you know.
How I say I'm the best on songs. It's like, ask me in real life, do I think I'm the best rapper alive?
Do you think you're the best rapper alive?
Bro, it's a nigga named Black Thought that exists. It's a nigga named Lupe Fiasco that exists. It's niggas that on any given day, even my peers, a Drake or a Kendrick, where it's like.
One thing that becomes really noticeable once you start revisiting old interviews and songs is how differently these two artists publicly treat each other. Because Cole has acknowledged Kendrick constantly throughout his career, not just casually either. Genuinely, he's praised him in interviews, put him beside himself in the big three, constantly framed Kendrick as a peer, even a brother. Meanwhile, Kendrick rarely does that. And once you notice it, you kinda can't unsee it anymore. Because even when Kendrick includes Cole, it almost feels like competitive. It almost always feels competitive before it feels affectionate. The clearest early example of this is probably the Controverse. Now obviously Kendrick was calling out everybody, that's true. But even inside the verse that was framed as competitive energy, there's something interesting about the way Cole gets positioned. Not celebrated, not embraced. Just another rapper Kendrick feels he needs to step over. And honestly, that alone wouldn't really mean much if the pattern didn't continue for years afterwards. One thing that feels strange about Kendrick and Cole compared to Drake and Cole is acknowledgement. Because Drake has publicly embraced Cole multiple times. Songs, features, tours, shout-outs, interviews. Cole has constantly reciprocates that respect toward Drake and Kendrick. Kendrick, he almost never publicly speaks about Cole with warmth, the same way Cole does towards him. And that absence becomes weirdly noticeable once you compare it side by side. Especially because Kendrick clearly understands symbolism, subtext, messaging. Somebody who carefully crafts almost everything he says publicly. So when somebody repeatedly doesn't acknowledge another person emotionally, you eventually start wondering why. And maybe the clearest modern example of that tension is Like That. What made that verse so shocking wasn't just the Drake shots, was how casually Kendrick seemed willing to throw Cole into the crossfire too. Especially after years of Cole publicly treating Kendrick like a respected peer.
No, he's talking about Cole right there. He talking about Cole. Cole said he be walking around with a stick. No, it's up.
And the line that keeps standing out is, Mother blick the big three, It's just big me. Because that wasn't aimed only at Drake. It erased Cole too, completely. And then there's the line, I hope them sentiments symbolic, my temperament bipolar, I choose violence. Even the energy of the verse feels almost dismissive towards the idea of friendship itself, which makes another line become strangely interesting in retrospect. I hope Drake and Cole my real friends. If not, I'm YNW Melly. Because depending on how you hear it, that line almost sounds less like loyalty and more like suspicion. And then there's probably the strangest line of all. There's 3 goats left, and I seen 2 of them kissing and hugging on stage. I love them to death. Most people interpreted that line normally, like I loved them a lot. But the word in itself is kinda interesting because immediately after what Kendrick says, in 8 bars I'll explain that phrase. It suddenly makes to death feel intentionally loaded, especially because Kendrick loves double meanings, and if you interpret the phrase more literally, the line starts sounding way darker. Not I love these guys, but almost I love them until they are gone. Now obviously that doesn't mean Kendrick literally hates Cole. That's not the point. The point is the emotion and energy Kendrick directs towards Cole consistently feels competitive, cold, possessive about status, like Cole represents an obstacle more than a friend. Honestly, one of the most interesting observations about this entire situation came from Drake himself. Because during the beef, Drake says, you said your brother Jermaine but wanted him to stay out of the light. Just follow me, right? Now obviously Drake is dissing Kendrick here, but what's interesting is the actual idea he's pointing towards. Because even Drake seemed to notice something strange about Kendrick-Cole relationship. This weird imbalance where Cole publicly embraces Kendrick, while Kendrick rarely seems emotionally invested in Cole the same way back. And once you start looking back at years of interviews, songs and interactions, that imbalance becomes hard to ignore.
Might be something else.
I don't know. Will there?
Kendrick doesn't secretly hate J. Cole. Maybe hate is too strong of a word, but I do think there's something strangely revealing about how differently this relationship evolved publicly. Cole spent years treating Kendrick like a brother, a peer, part of a shared legacy, while Kendrick increasingly started sounding like somebody who wanted to start entirely alone, not besides the big tree, above it. And maybe that's why the relationship always felt slightly colder than most people want to admit. Because sometimes the most revealing thing somebody says about another person is what they never say at all.